Welcome back to Raising Scholars. I'm your host, Jacquie Langworthy, educator, center owner, and just a mom who has learned a whole lot of lessons the hard way so you don't have to. Now, this is a special one. This is our season 1 bonus episode, and I have to be honest with you. I almost didn't record this one. Not because I didn't have anything to say. You know me, I always have something to say. But because what I'm about to share is personal. I mean, really, really personal. But that's exactly why I have to say it. So grab your coffee, your tea, find a quiet corner, and let's talk. This episode is dropping right around a milestone for me. 20 years. 20 years. I keep saying it out loud because honestly, it doesn't feel real. 20 years ago, I was a blushing bride ready to jump the broom. I had the dress, the vision, the whole plan. And now, 20 years later, I'm sitting here, a single mom, a business owner, a podcaster, reflecting on what would have been my 20th wedding anniversary and the very different kind of journey that unfolded instead. I didn't get married to get divorced. I don't think anybody does. I had a vision for my life, a partnership, a family, a home that stayed whole. And when that vision changed, I had to figure out who I was going to be on the other side of it. My children were 5 and 6 when we were divorced. Back-to-back babies. And then suddenly, back-to-back challenges I never saw coming. And now they're 18 and 19 years old. They are becoming young adults right before my eyes. And when I sit with that, when I really sit with 20 years of raising them, 2 decades, through all of it, I feel a lot of things at once. Pride, gratitude, and a little bit of awe. And if I'm really being fully honest, I still feel traces of guilt. That's what we're talking about today. Divorce guilt. And more specifically, what it quietly costs your children when you let it run the show. Let me paint a picture for you, because I think a lot of parents are walking around carrying this and they don't even have a name for it. Divorce guilt is that low hum in the back of your mind that says, did I break something in my kids that I can't fix? It's the voice that whispers, they didn't ask for this. It's the feeling you get when they walk out the door for the other parent's house and you spend the whole weekend wondering if they're okay, if they feel abandoned, if they're going to grow up and blame you. And here's the thing, that guilt, it comes from love. It genuinely does. You feel it because you care so deeply about those kids. But love and guilt together without awareness can create a parenting pattern that actually works against everything you're trying to build. My parents were married for 56 years before my father passed. 56 years. That was my whole model. It's all I knew my whole life. That was my norm. So when my marriage ended, I didn't just lose a partnership. I lost my entire blueprint for what family was supposed to look like. I was navigating completely uncharted territory, and I was doing it while raising 2 little people, trying to keep it all together on the outside. And what did I do with all of that fear and uncertainty and guilt? I overfunctioned. Now, here's the thing about overfunctioning. When you're in it, it doesn't feel like a problem. It feels like good parenting. It feels like being responsible. It feels like love in action. Let me give you an example. My kids would go to school, and if they forgot something, anything, I was there. I had the flexibility of owning an education center close to the community, so I could make it happen. They'd forget a jacket. I'm on the way. Left a folder on the counter. Give me 10 minutes. I showed up every single time. And I genuinely believed I was being a good mom. I was filling in the gaps. I was making sure that my divorce did not show up as a deficit in their day. But here's what I didn't understand then that I understand now. Every time I swooped in, I was sending them a message. And the message wasn't, I love you. The message was, you can't handle this without me. I would go up to my daughter's school to fix her hair. Let that land for a second, because I couldn't stand the thought of her looking like she didn't have a mom who cared. I couldn't stand the thought of anyone, a teacher, another parent, another child, looking at her and thinking that her home situation meant that she wasn't being taken care of. So I showed up as quietly and discreetly as I could, and I fixed it because the guilt told me to. I was doing all of this while also making sure I had relationships with their teachers, making sure that the school knew that even though our family looked different, these kids were seen and loved and provided for. I was overcompensating in every direction. And I know I'm not alone in this because whether you're divorced or not, a lot of parents do this. We step in with homework when our kids get frustrated. We overschedule them so every moment is optimized and nothing feels missing. We rescue them from discomfort because their discomfort activates our discomfort. And it's just easier to fix it. But easier for who? Here's what nobody tells you about overfunctioning. The cost doesn't show up right away. That's what makes it so tricky. When you rush up to the school with a forgotten lunchbox, your child smiles, crisis averted. You feel like a hero. Short term, everybody wins. But long term, you have just confirmed to your child that when things go wrong, someone else will fix it. You have stolen from them the experience of figuring it out, of asking a teacher for help, or being a little uncomfortable and surviving it anyway, of building the quiet confidence that comes from knowing I handled that. People used to always say, kids are resilient. And I'd hear that and think, okay, but they didn't choose this. My kids didn't choose divorce. They were caught in a decision that the adults made, and they had to adapt. And yes, kids do adapt, but adaptation is not the same as thriving. And overfunctioning parents can actually get in the way of the very resilience we're trying to protect. The gray area of parenting, and this is where I really want to be honest, is that there's no clean line between support and overfunctioning. There just isn't. You're going to get it wrong sometimes. I got it wrong a lot, and I'm still learning. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is awareness, because once you see it, you can start to shift it. This is exactly why I created the R.A.I.S.E Scholar Framework. Not for your kids, but for you as the parents in the equation. Let me walk you through how this connects, because I think it's going to land differently when you hear it through this lens. The R, regulation before rigor, connection before correction. On our exchange days, the days the kids transition between homes, those days carried a lot of weight. Even when my children couldn't put words to what they were feeling, I could feel it in the energy of the morning. So I became intentional about slowing those mornings down. We started preparing the night before, making sure that the book bags were packed, clothes were laid out, everything they needed was ready, so that the morning itself could just breathe. No rushing, no chaos, no last minute scrambling that needed to add more stress to an already heavy day. I made it a priority to create calm before anything else. A snack, a hug, a few quiet moments to just be before the transition happened. I was regulating our household. And honestly, I was regulating myself before I asked anything of them. And here's what I want you to hear. Regulation isn't just for kids. Divorced parents, co-parents, single parents, we all need regulation too. Before you can show up for your children, you have to check in with yourself. You can't pour from an empty, anxious, guilt-ridden cup. The A, autonomy over assistance. This one is where the guilt shows up the loudest and does the most damage. Because when guilt is driving, you assist, you step in, you fix, you do, and autonomy gets left behind. What I had to learn, and this took years, was that preparing my children to do things independently was not abandonment. It was the work. Teaching my son to pack his own gear, teaching my daughter how to do her own hair in the morning, let them feel the natural consequence of forgetting an item so that the forgotten items became fewer. That was autonomy. That's the long game. The I instruction versus practice. Homework is practice, not performance. And you're not your child's teacher. I say this with so much love because I know how hard it is to watch your child struggle at the kitchen table and not want to jump in and just show them. But here's what I learned. If your child can't do something independently, that's a signal. That's a signal to seek outside support, not a reason for you to reteach the lesson at 8 o'clock at night. And for divorced parents especially, this one matters because we sometimes take on every role: the nurturer, the disciplinarian, the tutor, the coach. You cannot be everything, and you don't have to be. Your job at home is to hold the space for practice, to be the parent. Let the experts handle instruction. And the S, systems beat willpower. This one. In a divided household, you can't rely on everything being consistent across two homes. You just can't. What you can do is build systems in your home that create stability regardless of what's happening anywhere else. Same homework time, same morning routine, same expectations. The system holds when emotions are running high and willpower has run out. And for kids going between two worlds, that consistency is an anchor. And the E, evidence builds confidence. This is the one I want every guilt-carrying parent to hold on to. Every time you step back and let your child navigate something and they do it, that's evidence. Evidence that they're capable. Evidence that they don't need you to rescue them. And those small stacked wins, that's where real confidence comes from. Not from being told you're amazing, from proving it to yourself, one small moment at a time. Your kids are building their evidence file every single day. Make sure you're giving them the space to add to it. So I told you I had to be honest with you here because I said this podcast exists so that you don't have to learn things the hard way like I did. I didn't figure this all out when my kids were little. A lot of this clicked for me when they were in middle school, and some of it really didn't settle in until high school. And I genuinely wish I had understood it sooner. That's a big part of why I'm sharing this with you right now. Here's what I want you to take away from all of this. If you're a divorced parent or a co-parent or a single parent, or honestly, any parent who has ever compensated with doing more to cover a feeling of not being enough, I see you. I have been you. And I want you to know that the moment I started to let go of the guilt, not all at once, not perfectly, but gradually, was the moment I became a better parent. Not because I did less, but because what I did became more intentional. I stopped showing up at the school to fix things that didn't need fixing. I started trusting that I had already laid the foundation. That when my daughter left the house in the morning, she had what she needed, not because I was hovering, but because we had built the systems together. And what I've seen in my years working with families at my center is this: kids who thrive are not the ones who have the most done for them. They're the ones whose parents learn to be the coach on the sideline, not the player on the field. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be present, intentional, and willing to grow alongside your children. That's what raising scholars looks like. Not just raising kids who can do the work, but raising kids who believe they can. All right, my scholar parents, that's our bonus episode. And this one came straight from my heart. If it resonated with you, if you heard yourself somewhere in this conversation, I want you to do two things. First, share this episode. Send it to a parent who needs to hear it, a friend who's navigating divorce, a co-parent who's doing the best they can. This kind of conversation changes things when it reaches the right person. And second, I want to give you something tangible to walk away with. I have put together a free R.A.I.S.E Scholar Family Guide, a one-pager that breaks down all 5 pillars in a way you can actually use at home starting today. It's clean, it's simple, and it's designed to help you get off the guilt spiral and back into the intentional parenting. You could grab it at our website. The link is in the show notes. So, I'm excited. Season 2 is coming, and I can't wait to go deeper with you. We are just getting started. I'm Jacquie Langworthy, and this is Raising Scholars, where we raise confident, independent learners one family at a time. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in Season 2.